Thank you guys for tuning in to Crash Course RC today. We're going to be doing an electronics install on our SCT410SL today. What electronics did I go with? I got a Castle Creations 3800 kV motor. This is a censored motor. I have a Expert brushless servo. I got a Castle Creations Copperhead 10. This is a censored ESC to go with my censored motor. Got my Fly Sky receiver. This is for the FSGT5. And the manual calls for a 32 pitch and for a 3800 kV motor with 150 foot straightaways, calls for a 21 tooth pinion. I'll be installing that. If you notice this silver piece in the middle, my motor is a 3mm shaft. This makes that work with a 3mm shaft because this is a 5mm pinion. If y'all need those sleeves, they look like this, and you can just order those on Amazon. You can probably just search for pinion sleeve and it'll come up. Was able to order this. This is the TKR 6563A. This is a 25 tooth aluminum servo horn. Alright, let's get started. I think I want to install my motor first. And in my build series, I was a little leery about Loctiting my motor mount down, but I found out I was able to come through here and probably get to the motor just fine with a 21 tooth. So I went ahead and Loctited the screws that were going in the middle. That would be these four and these on the bottom here for the aluminum motor mount. Let's see if we can get the motor in. And if you'll notice, it's in the manual, but there are numbers, if y'all can see that, on the aluminum motor plate. Those correspond with the number of tooth of pinion you were running. And you want to use Loctite on your motor screws. Got our first screw in. See if we can get our second one lined up here. Want to use some Loctite. Go ahead and tighten these up. Alright, maybe we could go ahead and put our pinion on. Get some Loctite for your pinion. Go ahead and get it started here. And we've got to find our flat spot on the motor. We've got it facing up. See if we can get this pinion installed. Should slide right in, being a 21 tooth. Alright, got our pinion installed. I did have to loosen these screws a little bit. Seemed like it wanted to bind a little bit, so I'm going to tighten these back up. How do y'all feel about the new motor mount? A little bit different than the EB410 and the ET410. Alright. Feels good. Okay, next, looks like we will be installing our ESC here. I like to take a napkin and some rubbing alcohol and clean the area really good for our double-sided tape. So I'm going to clean this chassis, clean the bottom of this ESC. Let me dry that off a little bit. Our receiver should go here. So maybe we'll put it like so. We have to leave enough room to plug in our sensor wire here. Maybe we'll go ahead and plug that in. I want to run it through the battery wires here, like so. Looks a little better. Alright, got our sensor wire in. And get us some double-sided tape here. Stick that on our ESC. Get another piece. Like so. I'm using Gorilla Glue double-sided tape. We'll use our little knife to peel up the back side of these. All right. I think I decided to put it about, I'm going to put it as close to the center as I can. Maybe right there would leave us plenty of room for our receiver. And I'll put our receiver wires all in this area, so it should be easy to plug into our receiver once we get it installed. If you're running a sensored motor, you notice the A, B, and C, if you guys can see that on the motor, those wires have to go to A, B, and C in the ESC. I'm going to I might braid these later. I might do this just for right now. Might make them shorter later on. Just going to do that for the moment. And let's get our servo installed. Been pretty happy with these servos. I run them in a lot of stuff. It's a WR7701. This is a 25 tooth, so it should work with a 25 tooth aluminum servo horn that I bought. And we may have to take this piece off to get the servo in there. We'll see. See what we can do. Yeah, I'm going to loosen these screws on the bottom to give me more room to put my servo in. Could even take it all the way off. We'll try loosening it first. We'll just take it off. Like so, and we'll put her back. Snug those up by hand. Alright, we got our servo in. We're going to bolt it down. Remember to put our short screws on the outside. And our longer screws are going to go to the inside. Might have to loosen that up to make sure we get all 4 of our screws in. This thing's starting to come together. All right, servo is installed. Let's go ahead and I'm going to pop this off if I can. We're going to unscrew this so we can install our new servo horn. Got our new servo horn, 25 tooth. It'll be going on the bottom here, and I want to use some Loctite. Put a drop there, and we'll put some on my screw itself here. gonna get that good and tight. We don't want that coming loose. Alright, got it snapped back in there. We'll save our little screw. It's going to go on the side of that servo horn. When we go to tighten it up. But we'll probably wait to power it up for now. Let's go ahead and attach our receiver. And then we'll plug everything in, and then we'll be ready to plug a battery in. And we will be ready to test this thing out, maybe set our servo endpoints. I'm going to get a little Gorilla Glue double-sided tape for the receiver here. A little cut. Peel that off. I'm going to rip this sticker off of this. Use a little bit of our rubbing alcohol. Clean this really good. Dry it off. Make sure we get a really good stick. Put that on there like so. Let's see, maybe stick it this way towards the front. Should be good. This wire here is for our fan. Let's go ahead. Your servo wire should go into channel 1. Your ESC wire should go into channel 2. And then your fan wire, doesn't really matter what channel it goes into, it just has to have power. We're going to run it just in anywhere. I'm going to stick it in, looks like channel 4. So now, once we plug our motor in here, we shall be ready to fire this thing up. I'm going to get the A wire, and it needs to go in A. So this is the C. Let's see, there's the C. The middle wire is going into B. And A is going into the A. Okay. When we plug the battery in, we should be able to, the servo should center out. And then we'll be able to install our servo horn. And let's see here. So this truck can run the long batteries or the shorty packs. That's why I have this piece of foam here, if you're wondering about that. Let's do this. Let's get our bind plug, and we're going to plug it into the bind part of the receiver, and we're going to bind this thing. This is my FSGT5 radio. I like this radio. I'm going to let's turn it on, and we'll get a channel 9. Looks like it's not being used. So I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to hold the bind button, turning that on, and let's plug in this battery, and then we shall turn on the ESC here. That should have bounded up. Our servo is moving. Should have throttle. Looks good. Cool deal. Just for safety, you probably should have this up on a stand or something. In case you plug something wrong into the receiver, it might decide to take off with you. Let's get this, see if we can get this servo horn installed here. All right. That looks good. Let's go ahead and set our endpoints on my radio. You really want this bar here probably more parallel than it is. I'm just going to go ahead and get it running on camera, and then I may adjust that later on. And clean all these wires up. So I'm going to turn it to the right. And it's stretching it a whole lot, so I will start dialing that back. Looks good. This one is really overdoing it, so we're going to dial it back a whole lot. Basically all I'm doing is turning the wheel all the way and then dialing it back. When it's at its full stroke. That looks pretty good. I think I'm going to roll with that right there. Got throttle. Need to install our screw in the side of our servo horn that came with our kit, and then we will need to find a screw to screw down into our servo horn. May have to take this piece off to get that screwed in. We shall see. Nope, shouldn't. You probably want to use a little Loctite on that. Let's get some Loctite here. We'll leave that snug. We're going to find us a bolt to screw down in there. So we'll take this bolt here. Put just a little Loctite on it, nothing crazy. That's going down in our servo. And tighten it up. And then let's go ahead and tighten our bolt here now. Alright. This has been the electronics install of my SCT410SL. Should be about ready to get this thing out on the track. So y'all stay tuned for some future videos. Get this thing running.